project going on today around the cabin. An oak tree that has given up. I would say it's probably was about, I don't know, maybe 20 years old, maybe 30 years old. But for some reason it has died, and now it's time to harvest it up. Started the project, didn't do the filming, the very first filming of it, because like a lot of the projects I do, I think, okay, well, I'm just going to get this done. But then when I get through it, now I'm at the hardest part. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera on and show you guys what I'm doing, just in case you're interested. Once again, I'm not a professional lumberjack, so the way I do things, I try to always do things just right. But I suggest, if you're going to fall a tree like this, check out some of the professionals on their lumberjack sites and their wood cutting sites. Watch quite a few videos so you really get the idea on how to do this correctly. I hope I am doing it correctly, but this is kind of going to be a tough fall from what I can do. Now, Gaz, I appreciate you trying to help, but you're going to go in the house and I'm going to lock the door and you're not coming out until this tree hits the ground, all right? And then you can carry as much wood as you possibly want to. All right. What I've got here is, you can see I kind of got the project started, and this is oak. Like it's been dead over a year, so it's in pretty good shape. I think something like this, if you would have let it sit about another year or so, it would have started to rot out on you. But here it is right here. There it is. It's not a big tree. You can see the pieces of wood that I've already got here. You know, I cut off this side right here, and I cut this one off right here, and I was able to, each one of those fell just almost where Jazz is, just straight down, and I was able to get this one to fall straight down. So I was really happy with that, because you can see I've kind of got a tight area right here to work with. But this guy right here, what's left, gives me some concern, because it gets to the top and it spreads out. Almost, you know, almost like a hand like that when it gets to the top. What concerns me is I'm going to have to drop it between this maple and this sweet gum and drop it just right off in this area right here. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do it. Jazz, what'd you do? Get that stuck in your mouth? Better just leave that alone and go on in the house, buddy. I think, you know, I'm not worried about it crashing into something. You know, it's not going to hit the cabin. It's not going to, you know, hit anything that's going to really tear anything up. I'm just concerned that when it falls this way, it's going to, if it goes one way or the other and gets into that maple or gets into that sweet gum, then I kind of got a problem, because it's going to be hung up there and I got to try to get it out. But I'm sure if you were a professional, I'm sure that what you would do is you would go in there and you'd remove those top limbs up there and get it down a lot shorter so the spread isn't so much, and then drop it straight in. But I don't have that, so I'm aiming for this avenue right through here, hoping everything goes well. It's pretty tall. I don't think it's going to get into my windmill here. I hope not. But it's pretty dang tall. It's going to come pretty close. Yeah, the more I look at it, I think I might go ahead and move the windmill here just in case, because there's a possibility. It's pretty tall. You're looking at right up there at the top. That's pretty tall right there. It could actually get into it. And even if just those top branches, you know, whenever you cut a tree down, it's amazing how stuff looks so small from down here, but when it actually hits the ground, it's a lot bigger than you. Went ahead and got the windmill moved away, probably about 15 feet or so, maybe 20 feet from where it was, and I think I'm in pretty good shape there. I was able to just kind of walk it out of there. So, all right, let me set my camera up. I'm going to make a wedge cut. I'm hoping that the oak comes down basically in this general direction. Just remembered I want to put a couple wedges in there for safety. Okay, wedges in place. Let's drop this tree. Decided to add one more wedge. All right, there you go. It's right where I want it to fall. Looked like I probably didn't have to move the windmill after all, but still glad I did. Okay, that worked out pretty good. Had a little bit of trouble on that back cut. You cut that wedge on the front down into the tree, and then you cut a wedge horizontal into it. The wedge falls out, and that gives you the general direction where your tree is going to fall. Well, when you go to the back side and you start cutting through, wherever that bottom of that wedge is, you want this back cut just to be a little bit higher and to come through, and that leaves that hinge that the tree will fall. I'm not a professional tree person, and so this was a mistake I made when I made that back cut. That cut wasn't level. It was like in an angle a little bit as it came through. On the side I was on, my cut was going to come through above the wedge. When I went to the other side, I'd had my saw at an angle and it came down and it was below the wedge. That was going to create a big problem for me. Went ahead and corrected that. Had to take the wedges back out and correct it. Let's go up here and take a look at it and see. Pretty good sized tree. It kind of spun around a little bit there before it dropped. But, you know, I had plenty of room to get out of the way. So, yeah, there's the tree going down through there. Pretty good size. That's a lot of firewood right there. A lot of firewood. What I did was I cut a little bit too low right here, and so I had to make a different cut, and I think that messed my hinge up altogether. I'm not going into tree service business for sure. That's just the way it goes. Man, that's a lot of wood. Glad to get it done. So if you cut firewood, just be careful. if you cut trees down, just be careful. I would suggest you hire it out if you're not good at it or if you're a beginner, because it is difficult to drop a tree, a lot more than it shows when these professionals do. Appreciate you coming to the channel. It's LAF Space Film Fest, capital LAF Space Film Fest. Hey, if you would, hammer down that subscribe button. I appreciate it. See you on the next video.